Welcome. This is Cutscenes and Cupcakes, the podcast. I am Lindsey.
I'm Marlee.
And Steph. Trying to point
And
out
today we're joined with our Stolendroids compadre, Collin.
That's me. What's up, guys?
We're so happy to have you. Today's a special episode because I say that every episode we do, and it's always true. But today we're going to do The Last of Us, but just the first half because it's a long game.
The Last of Us Part 2, Part 1.
Yes, The Last of Us Part 2, Part 1, because, like I said, it's a long game, and we know some of you haven't finished yet, us included. So, yeah, we're getting through it. We're getting through it, but it's a long game.
Who's going to be the Tom Holland and just start spilling all the spoilers?
It's probably going to be you or Marlee.
Probably Collin. Marlee's been pretty good about not spoiling it.
Oh, no.
Don't pressure though, Collin.
So you asking that question was just foreshadowing, really.
It's true.
But yeah, before we dive in,
I consider myself the Tom Holland of everything, though. Really.
Yeah.
I
read your journal, and it says Tom Holland's journal. So you do consider yourself Tom Holland of everything.
I refer to myself as Tom inside my mind.
Yep, I know this. Anyway,
Mom said
before we dive into the game, let's do some not a sponsors.
Oh no, we need to do announcements.
Oh, announcements!
Announcements!
And we've got some doozies too, so I'm glad you reminded me.
First announcement: Marlee's turned 29.
Woohoo!
OMG!
Yeah.
Technically tomorrow.
Because she turns 29 tomorrow, but when this comes out, she'll turn 29 on Monday. Yay. We're coming to you from the future.
Birthday! Yay!
You sound so happy.
It's my birthday.
Do a little birthday dance.
You're so close to 30.
Yeah, do a birthday dance, Marlee.
I'm making a banner for myself.
Dance, monkey.
There we go.
It's my birthday. Do you guys know what I'm quoting when I say that?
No.
Like,
Thor Ragnarok, when they steal the Grandmaster ship, and they're like pressing buttons trying to make things like work, and then like there's like a little like celebration thing that comes up, and it's Jeff Goldblum, and he's like, "It's my birthday."
Oh, that's funny. I gotta rewatch Ragnarok. It's been a while.
And they say I have a thing for Jeff Goldblum. It's really you.
No, it's you. It's you.
Because you always deny it and then bring it up all the time.
Oh,
do you guys like Jeff Goldblum? Do you think he's attractive?
Okay,
you think about having sex with him? Because I don't.
I sure don't.
He's just ugly.
You spot on, Stephanie, right there.
That is the conversation we've had many times.
Oh.
There you go, guys.
That's not. Oh, there we go.
That's awesome. You do a pretty solid impression of it, Mar.
Thank you. That was brilliant.
And
Steph,
number 2.
Yeah, go ahead.
We are going to be doing a little remote con.
I think it's a big remote con.
What?
It's a big remote con.
A big remote con.
The remote cons of all remote cons.
The first ever of its kind. No one. What?
What that means is September 7th through 12th, we will be doing little virtual panels every night, scheduled to come, but keep an eye out. We'll be doing panels every night, kind of since we're all missing FanX a little bit this year. missing the other Comic-Cons. We wanted to bring a little nerdiness into your home. So keep an eye out for more updates. It's also going to be a charity fundraiser for American Cancer Society. So it's for a good cause. There might be giveaways, and I think it'll be bitchin'. So you should be there.
Yes.
Bitchin'.
Bitchin'.
And we're doing that with the whole Stolendroids network.
Yeah, so, if you like Collin tonight, he'll be here. He'll be there.
Yeah.
If you don't, well, you're gonna have to deal with me anyways.
Perfect.
Was that all of our announcements? Are we good?
I think so.
Okay. Not a sponsor time! Yay!
I was having way too much fun with those banners.
It's riveting content for our non-video listeners.
Well, since Collin is our guest, I believe he should go first for our non-sponsors.
Oh, thank you. Well, my not a sponsor is an amazing TV show that just had its final season not too long ago. Suits.
Yeah.
It is a kind of a lawyer show, I guess you could say. And basically there's this guy named Mike who is doing nothing with his life. He ends up selling like marijuana and almost gets caught, but notices some things and then runs into this like Harvard law recruiting for some law firm, pretends to be some guy, runs in, the marijuana just spills on the floor. And the guy that's interviewing him, Harvey Specter, Marlee's just like, he's so dreamy.
But also her cat's named after him.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
And all of her Wi-Fi passwords.
Now she has to go change it.
All of our listeners here are going to break into Marlee's Wi-Fi.
But yeah, so Harvey really likes the guy and then ends up basically committing fraud and puts him into his law firm as an associate, where he and Harvey become the crime-fighting duo together. And then the drama thickens, and it's great.
Yeah.
Well, and then Meghan Markle is in it too.
Meghan Markle.
She plays the love interest of Mike.
It's true.
And then she has to go and get married in real life to a prince and then ditches the show, and then it sucks after that.
And I'm pretty sure the show would have kept going.
Stephanie, who is Meghan Markle?
She's married to Prince. She's married to Prince Harry.
Oh.
You should be bowing when you say her name.
Okay? She's caused a lot of controversy in the royal family.
Mm.
Oh,
and in the Suits family too, apparently.
Yeah.
Girl. She's trouble.
I've never watched Suits.
So good.
I ended up getting so addicted that I watched all 7 seasons within a month and a half.
All right. Binging.
Easy peasy.
All right, Miss Supernatural.
Speaking of, so why don't I go next on my not a sponsor?
Of course.
My not a sponsor. I know I already talked about this a little bit in our one of our last episodes where we were talking about our fandoms. But after talking about that, it just kind of really sparked me to like want to go and rewatch Supernatural for, I don't know. I've done it a couple of times, but it's been a while. So I started rewatching Supernatural and I just finished season 5, which is like one of like the best like climaxes in a show. It's just so good, you guys. And there's just so many feels, but now I have to now I'm at that point in the show where like season 6 and 7, like I just got to get over the hump because then it gets better, so much better again. So I kind of just have to power through it. But anyways, I love Supernatural. It's so much fun. And I actually, the first couple of seasons, especially with like the Monster of the Week episodes, there's actually a lot of kind of scary, spooky episodes. And I just decided, okay, I'm going to get through this. I can do it. And thank goodness for phone games, because I seriously would just like sit and play games on my phone during the scary parts. And I'm like, it's fine. But it's just a really good show, and it's so much fun. And it's nice to just like go back to like simpler times with the Winchester brothers and just see how far they've come. And it's just so great.
I'm a fan of whenever Felicia Day comes on.
Oh yeah.
I think that's season 7. I think it's season 7. She's coming.
Mine not a sponsor. It's not a TV show, but it is a little YouTube miniseries. I don't know where it originated, honestly. But I was scrolling through my Facebook today, and someone made a graphic of ants with a bunch of ants around it. And I think the only one who might catch that reference is Lindsey. Vance. Thank you, ants.
Vance. I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah. That makes me so happy. Well, what is it, Stephanie?
Go back and watch a lot of them. Look around you. Look around you.
Hilarious.
It's like a British mockumentary of like old school 80s horrible like science movies. And they just make a bunch of shit up, which is the most wonderful thing. They're doing experiments with ants, which is why they have the thank you, ants. Or they do like an experiment with AC/DC.
Oh yeah, they're like, this is the current AC/DC, and then it like plays a guitar chord.
Or they like do an experiment with boiling water, and they don't have like a pointer or anything. Just use his hand. Using his hand in the boiling water. It's weird, funky British humor. It's so funny. It's so funny. It's like the weirdest niche humor.
And what is it called?
Look around you. Look around you.
It's kind of hard to find. There's been seasons of having a hard time finding it, but
you can find.
If you can get your hands on it,
but if you know to find full episodes, let this girl know, because it's hysterical.
I concur. Thank you, Stephanie.
It's one of those things for sure where you're like, this is so funny, and you show it to your friends, and they're like, it's funny, yeah, and you're like, no. This shit's hysterical.
Look around you. Do you see it? Water. That's like the only episode I know.
And then it like zooms in on the kid's mouth. Water. Anyways. All right, that's all I got.
So I'm doing one that Stephanie actually introduced me to that I'm surprised none of you have done over the past couple weeks. Can you guess what it is?
Hamilton.
No.
TikTok being banned by Trump.
Close, but no. It is Middleditch and Schwartz.
Oh, yay!
So it's a Netflix comedy improv show with Middleditch and Schwartz. If you don't know who those are, they are the guy who played Sonic and another guy. John Ralphio and
Silicon Valley wasn't he like?
He was someone in something. I can't say I ever watched it.
He's a comedian.
Yeah,
they're both comedians.
But it's just like a little improv show, and it is hysterical. They just kind of, do the improv thing where they talk to the audience and figure out, kind of like some characters and maybe like a setting, and then they come up with a story for it, and it's completely on the, off the cuff, and it's hilarious. because like it's not perfect. You know, some of the joy of improv is when they forget, you know, who their characters are or where they're at, you know, or what they sound like. Bounty hunting is a complicated profession. Things like that. Like they're just so funny. And we all need a little, you know, a good amount of comedy in our lives. So thank you, Stephanie and her husband Blake, for showing this to our friend group. It was a welcome addition into my humor repertoire.
It's true though. We've been quoting it like a lot.
Yeah, we have.
Every time Blake and I try to start a new TV show, he's like, "Should we just watch Middleditch and Schwartz again?" And I'm like, "Yeah, we should." Have you watched it, Collin?
I have not yet. I'm gonna have to check.
It's good hysterical humor. Do not watch it with a child around though.
Okay.
And there's only 3 episodes, so it's not like you're like, you know,
a commitment.
They were supposed to have more, but COVID.
Oh.
Freaking COVID.
Well, hopefully the 3 that they put up are, you know, watched enough that they
continue.
Yeah, that they can continue with like a second season or something.
Oh, I'm sure they will.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Should we
dive in?
Dive in.
Last of Us Part 2, Part 1.
Yay!
Spoilers ahead.
Yes.
Dun, 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 dun.
So
I feel like we should have a spoiler song. There might be spoilers, so you might want to turn off your podcast if you haven't played the game. But also you knew that, so why are you even listening right now? Hey.
Wow,
that's our spoiler song.
That was amazing.
I'm very good.
I don't know if you'll be able to like repeat that for another time.
It's a good thing we recorded it.
I know the lyrics down. I'll get you in the studio. We'll auto-tunes it.
Yes.
I love it. So we're talking about just the first half of the game. Okay. If you didn't already pick up on that. So we've got a little scroller down there below for you video watchers. This is just through Seattle Day 3. Once you start playing the game, you'll understand what that means. But okay, Last of Us Part 2
of Ellie.
Yes.
Yeah, yes.
Yes.
Yes. We'll get there, Collin. We'll get there. But so this was a very long-awaited game. We've talked about this a lot. We've been really like anxious about it and ready for it to finally come into our PlayStation hands. And I played it in its entirety the first weekend it came out. But you know.
Dedication.
Huh?
That's some dedication.
Yes. It was a really good game, and I had to know, and also I didn't want anything spoiled, so I was just like, power through. Anyway, so the game starts off, it's actually pretty soon, like they do a really good job, like a good transition from the first game when you're Joel in the hospital in Salt Lake City, and you just saved Ellie, and the first game starts off with Joel has made it back to Jackson, where his brother Tommy is. And Tommy's like, okay, so what happened? You know, and so Joel's kind of telling him what happened. And you're kind of seeing like flashback scenes and you're kind of seeing everything kind of come together. And they're kind of starting to get settled again in Jackson to live there. And you see, I just have to talk about this scene really quick and then we'll fast forward. But you see like this cute little scene where Joel is being a cute little awkward, you know, adopted dad, where he like comes to Ellie's room and he's like, I have a present for you. Well, at first he's like, I had a joke that I wanted to tell you. And he's like all awkward about it. And he's like, but I forgot it. And then she's like, okay, what do you really want? You know? And he ends up like, pulling out his guitar and he sings a song that he wrote. Did he write it or is that based on?
It's a song.
It's based on a song?
I'm pretty sure is it a Johnny Cash song? I don't know my old music very well.
I think it is. Yeah, I don't think it's an original, but he plays it for her. And then he gives his guitar to her and he's like, I told you I'd teach you how to play guitar. And then it's just this really, really sweet moment. And then we kind of fast forward 4 years 4 years.
Oh, it's a Pearl Jam song.
Yeah, I was looking up right now.
Does it fast forward 3 or 4 years? I'm like getting a brain
I want to say 4.
4 years.
Okay, thank you. So yeah, then we fast forward, and now like again, like Ellie is like part of this community in Jackson, and they kind of like they all take turns going on patrols outside of the city, and it kind of we're kind of set up there to find out kind of how they're living life now, and you see you kind of get introduced to some new characters. You meet Jesse, and you meet Dina. And then also some familiar faces. You get to see, Tommy and Maria again, and of course, like you get to see. You see Joel in a minute. I don't think you see him in town, but anyways, so it just kind of is setting up the scene a little bit. I don't know what else do we want to talk about with that. I don't want to tell the whole story, but like.
Well, then Joel dies.
Yeah. Pretty brutally.
Before that, though,
wow, just jumping
we
in.
can't get into every detail of what
okay, you guys calm down because there's a part you're missing.
Yeah, I think
you
there's
play as Abby.
Pieces.
I was gonna say, so you play as Abby. Like all of a sudden, you like wake up and you're a different character, and you're like, okay, who is this girl? Who are these people she's with? You have no idea, but you kind of come to find out that they're after this person. This like smuggler guy, and all of a sudden, like it's pretty obvious who it is. And then she actually comes across him, like, because she gets separated from her group, and she like meets Joel and Tommy, and she's like, oh my gosh, like this is who I've been after. Again, you have like no idea like what really her motives are or anything. But then again, yeah, fast forward to what Steph said, you come all of a sudden, she's killing Joel, like she has this revenge. Like this
hatred, vendetta.
Yeah, thank you. And then like, yeah, very brutally
with golf club.
Mm-hmm. Well, first he gets shotgunned in the knee, so that's pleasant. And then Ellie
I took an arrow to the knee.
And then Ellie catches up with them, and she they like are holding her down, and she's witnessing the whole thing, and it's really awful and terrible. What was your guys' first reaction to that scene?
I expected it.
I kind of knew it was coming when he got shotgunned in the knee, because I'm like, oh, there's no coming back from that. I
immediately thought they're not going to kill him right now.
Like,
you still have most of the game. Like, why would you kill our beloved Joel Lego right now?
Mm-hmm. I know. I was kind of along those same lines too. Like I was just mad. I was like, why is this happening? And why is it happening this way? Why is this so brutal and awful? Like I literally jumped off my couch, and I was just like I was like yelling because I was so mad. And like, I just, oh man, it was terrible. But I didn't cry. I don't know about you guys. It was awful and sad, of course, but like, I didn't really cry. I was just more like, what the crap just happened?
Well, especially not knowing anything about Dina, you're just kind of like, yeah, what the hell is going on?
You mean Abby?
Yeah.
Yeah. You said Dina.
Oh, okay.
And then basically, to fast forward a little bit to Seattle. So Ellie's like, okay, well, I'm going to go get these sumbitches and show them that they can't just kill my father, pretty much, And so Dina is, you kind of come to find out, like, they're basically, like, they're together, they're girlfriends, but they're still, like, very new in their relationship. So, but anyways, they travel to Seattle, and they're trying to find Abby and this group of people, and they remember a few of their names, and they also, like, remember their faces. So,
and they slowly pick off each and every one of them, over them. Which, okay, even like this whole thing about having a vendetta and like, you murdered my friend, so I'm going to murder 15 other people. It's just a little like ridiculous. Like
it is.
Well, I mean, if you think about it, it's not really 15 other people because you're literally killing,
600
people a day just tracking all these other people.
Yes.
It's true. It's true. And dogs too.
To prove. Yeah.
Poor dogs.
I know that was hard. That was a really hard part to do. But like, once you actually like get attacked by a dog and they like bite off your face, you're like, okay, this dog is gonna kill me.
Abby's little gang is called the Wolves, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And they have
WLF.
They have dogs that they train to hunt out and kill people. So I mean, they're pretty brutal.
Mm-hmm.
Are they German Shepherds? You think?
I think there's various mixes.
Yeah, they kind of. Some of them look like German Shepherds.
What if they had like little Chihuahuas, like little killer Chihuahuas?
I would have no problem.
They had all of the breeds. They had like a corgi with like a machine gun on his back.
Jeez.
If I ever get a Chihuahua again, it is never going near Lindsey. He used to have a Chihuahua, and she was good. Well, thank you very much.
Okay.
Sorry. I did say I was kidding.
Oh.
Like anytime I mention a poodle, she's like, I hate poodles so much.
I didn't say that.
Lindsey has strong opinions about dogs, which is funny because she doesn't have a dog.
I can still have strong opinions about it.
Nope.
Okay. Anyway.
Strong opinions about some of the things.
Anyway, so so to the kind of continuing with the plot, like they kind of, Ellie and Dina, they're exploring Seattle, and like Steph said, like they're kind of picking off people one by one, and they're trying to find Abby's location, and they still haven't found her. They don't know, like they keep getting little clues, or they're like, oh, so-and-so will know where she is. I'll go and find them and then get them to tell me. And so they finally get like a tip that she's at the aquarium. And so she goes to the aquarium, but instead she finds Abby's two closest friends, Owen and Mel, and kills them. And that was really, really sad too, because you find out too that like Mel was pregnant, you know? And
an even bigger deal because you find out too that her girlfriend, Dina, was pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
Is pregnant. Is currently pregnant.
Yeah, with
Jesse's baby.
And
how did you guys feel when you found out that Dina was pregnant? Because it sparked quite the conversation between me and my husband.
I mean, I thought like, especially because they like came all that way from Jackson, Wyoming. I mean, that's quite a journey, and that would be really, really hard. But I think she's just barely realized that she's pregnant. So it's still pretty early on.
Well,
yeah.
In their travel, she found out a couple weeks into their traveling.
Yeah.
Which going through morning sickness and all that, and like trying to hide that from Ellie, I think would be very, very difficult too.
Very, very difficult.
Like, I mean, you're on a horse and you're not going too much further from one another.
No. Yeah, because Ellie was very pissed when she found out. Which I get to some extent, but I also, have been a pregnant woman, also get how pregnant women are treated like, can sometimes be treated like they have a disability, like they shouldn't be doing things and they can't be making decisions because they have another child, like another person to care. So I was up in arms. I'm like, she can still do it. Like she can make her own decisions. She knew the risk. She knows the risk. She knows what's going on. She's staying back when she needs to. She's making the right like decisions for her, and it's her kid. So
kind of what I didn't really take it in that direction, having never been pregnant or having a husband to even argue with about this. But the way that it kind of hit me when Dina said, "Oh, I think I'm pregnant," it kind of struck me then. I'm like, "Oh, this is a game about like women's stories. Like we have these strong women characters and a strong women antagonist and women problems or women situations, I should say."
Which you don't see a lot in video games.
No,
you really don't.
There's a couple like Horizon Dawn, but even that, like it's not like real true like human struggles. It's more so like trying
Hey,
to
just a badass girl.
Yeah, her situational struggles.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it really struck me, and I was like, "Good on you, Naughty Dog. Good job."
Mm-hmm. Oh, so true. And that's kind of why like Ellie goes off by herself for part of the game, because Dina decides. So they like find like an old movie theater, and they kind of take it over, and like this is their base camp kind of thing. And Dina decides to kind of stay there and set up camp, and also she just doesn't feel good enough to go. And so Ellie's like, okay, I'll do it, and that's it's kind of nice, like, to kind of have like that base camp, because that kind of helps with the story as well, because they have like Ellie has like a place to come back to, and then also you can kind of figure out like where you're at in the game too, chapter wise and everything, just based off of like their locations. But we forgot too that kind of so when Dina and Ellie decided to go to Seattle, Tommy, Joel's brother, also like he like left without them, and they're like, really, like, why couldn't we just all go together? But Tommy's like, no, I'll take care of this, and he just ditches them. And so there are also, once they're in Seattle, they're trying to find Tommy, and they like find a radio in this old movie theater, and they like find that like there's this lone male trespasser, and he's killing lots of people, and the whole time you're thinking it's Tommy. But when you finally like catch up with this guy, it's Jesse, and you had no idea that like Jesse was also following you to Seattle from Jackson. So that was kind of an interesting dynamic too, to all of a sudden bring in Jesse, and then he doesn't know that Dina's pregnant either. He finds out,
but that's cool because he dies.
Jesus.
Yeah, you're right. And it's actually really sad, because
it is really sad.
We finally get Jesse, and like him and Ellie go off and like do some like stuff together, and you're like, hey, this is actually like, I really like this dynamic. Jesse is a great NPC partner. He actually like holds his own in a fight, because I feel like Dina was okay.
Yeah.
But, and then all of a sudden, like, he gets shot in the head by none other than Abby. Freaking Abby.
Well, and like leading up to that too, like just within, moments of him being just completely shot in the face, like you have this like light lapping moment between him and Ellie, and then literally open the door.
Yeah. It's pretty tragic.
That was horrifying. Well, especially...
Are you sure, Stephanie? You didn't seem affected by it earlier.
It is, but it's like a little bit of conflict, because Dina's pregnant, and what's going to happen? Is she going to get back together with Jesse? Well, you don't get to make that decision because he's dead. Like, it's like, let me introduce this conflict, and then
I know
over there now.
You don't get a reaction from Ellie about it either.
You really don't.
It's just
because
like,
it goes straight into like,
and why you killed Joel, and then nothing about Jesse.
Yeah,
it is true.
It's very clear from like that point, and even when Abby kills Joel, and then Ellie goes off to kill all her friends, they're foils of one another. Like, they're the same character. They're not the same character, but they have very similar feelings, very similar missions, very similar paths, and it's just for different reasons. For the same reasons, but for different reasons. Like, they're just
different sides for the same reason.
Yeah. And that's, that leading, this all goes right into like one of the biggest spoilers of the game that I think a lot of people weren't expecting, was right after that scene where Abby catches up with you at the movie theater and kills Jesse.
And has like you at a standstill.
And then all of a sudden, like, the screen goes black and you switch over, and now you're playing as Abby. And I I didn't expect it. Like, you played Abby like a tiny bit at the beginning of the game, but I didn't expect to play her anymore. But all of a sudden, the whole, we're now playing as her, and now we're seeing her side of the story. And it really provides an interesting perspective. And it was hard for me at first, because I was like, well, Ellie and Joel, their life, I love them, they're awesome. And no, it was very hard at first, but I don't know. I think, and you guys may feel, you'll have to, once we do our second part of this episode and talk about it, once we finish the game, like, I'm really interested to hear what you guys feel about Abby, even like afterwards. Cause like my thought, even like way after the game, and I've had time to like process and even like play it with you guys and kind of talk about it, my feelings have changed about Abby and her story. So it's this game. It like really just like makes you like, really just like think about these things. It's really interesting.
Well, that's true too. It's like the original Last of Us 2. It presents a huge moral dilemma with Ellie being the cure, and is it worth killing the one to help the many?
Mm-hmm.
And then it's coming up on another moral dilemma with, is it worth killing a bunch of shit ton of people to avenge someone that you love dearly?
Yeah.
Which it sounds like, Ellie was starting to get to the point where it wasn't, in that last conversation with her, Tommy, and Jesse, it's, do we just pull back? Do we forget about Abby and just
go home?
Well, I think after she killed Mel, especially, she probably had a lot of difficulty and realization of like, this is getting a little out of hand.
Well, yeah, I mean, it hits home, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Here, her girlfriend is pregnant, and she just killed the woman and her soon-to-be baby. And
exactly,
like,
I know.
That would not sit well with a person.
You start realizing that everyone has like lives that you don't know about.
Yeah,
I think it leaves a lot of room for grayness of humanity. Everyone wants a good guy and a bad guy. They want, and to have the offset of like living in a time of zombies where obviously they're the bad, they're going to kill you. It's them eat you or you kill them. But then to have this offset by humanity where people aren't just bad. They're not just a shell that you can kill like a zombie is. They have a life. They have friends and family.
Right. And a lot of zombie games and movies, like, there's the cannibals, there's the people who are obviously despicable or, doing things that are horrible, and they're the obvious villains, but that's not the case here.
Mm-mm.
Well, and I think it also brings this point home too, because there's a few flashbacks with Ellie and Joel where Ellie actually confronts Joel about what happened at the hospital. And
yes, that big reveal.
Yeah. That
she knows.
Yeah.
She knows
what he did and why he did it. And she was pissed.
Yeah.
In a way, he didn't ask for her consent to do that. He just made the decision. And of course, he was doing what he thought was right. But without asking Ellie, it wasn't her decision.
Well, and I think it's also wrong that the Fireflies didn't ask her.
Oh,
right? They just put her under, and they just
like, okay, she's gonna be dead,
Oh yeah, totally.
Oh, she's willing to kill people, but how? But is she willing to go that far?
Is she willing to make the ultimate sacrifice to help people?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'd all like to say we are, but again, they didn't give her the chance.
Yeah.
Well, and back to that flashback that you're talking about, Steph, because that actually takes place in Salt Lake City. Ellie goes back to Salt Lake City years later to that hospital to look for answers, and Joel follows her, and he actually sacrifices his relationship with Ellie by finally telling her the truth, because she basically was like, okay, you're going to tell me the truth, but just so you know, like when we go back to Jackson, like we're done. Yeah. And I think that was like the first moment I cried in the game, probably. Aww. Just like a little bit, because I was like, no, like this is not how it's supposed to be. Because we also didn't really know too much. Like at the beginning of the game, when you're like in the present day, you know that there's some sort of rift going on between you and Joel, and you don't really know why, and what happened. But because then all of a sudden when you start seeing these flashbacks, you get to see these really cute moments with Joel and like the dinosaur museum with this, and then like, you know, that was a really good scene. And then slowly she kind of starts to confront him and be like, no, you need to, you know, I really need to know what happened, you know, and then that's ultimately what ruined their relationship. It's really sad. But
it gives you a lot of feels.
Mm-hmm.
It makes you think a lot.
I'm excited to see what happens in the rest of the game, though.
I am. Yeah, I am.
Marlee is melting over there for some reason. We don't know why yet, but I'm like only 3/4 of the way through the game, and I'm dying to know what's going to happen next, especially with Ellie and Joel via flashbacks and such.
Now I really just want to know where you're at.
Oh, we'll talk about it after.
Yeah, I was gonna say she's right before you where you are, Collin. But okay. Well, let's talk about gameplay a little bit. So between Last of Us the first game and this one, I noticed yes, the button mapping was very similar, but they made some really good improvements. Did you guys notice that?
Yeah, they definitely tweaked it, and it's very easy to learn, very easy to play. I like it.
Well, and they have like aim assist, which I'm always for. And also I like the aspect of even having like an easier playing level. And that's totally what I played the first time through. It was the very easiest.
Yeah, I think I'm doing the step above that just because I want to get through the game. I want to enjoy the storyline. Like I rarely have time to play games as is, and so being able to just get quick through the storyline and not have to deal with the higher difficulty modes.
Yeah.
And even exactly. That, I think the game's still super challenging.
Oh yeah.
I really hate
times that I've died and had to go back and respawn.
I really hate the horseback riding. In fact, I just hate like traveling when you have to drive something. It's not. For me, it's just not intuitive. And not to mention with the assist on, riding the horse is so frustrating because you try to look someplace and it redirects you over and over again.
I think it's a lot easier than a lot of other games like Red 4 Dead. I feel like that riding on horses is just way more difficult than this is.
Yeah. Transportation in games, I think it's just bad. Give me fast travel, please.
Marlee's just like
I'll walk.
a noob, Collin. You can't ride a simple horse in a game.
No, it's my thing for me. It's different, and like because I'm so used to controlling a horse in Red Dead, and then all of a sudden to go to like this one and. Well, and actually just the buttons in general, like, because in Red Dead, to go faster, you press X a lot, okay? In this game, X is jump. So there were so many times where I was being, like, attacked by, like, runners or even just other humans, and I kept trying to, like, run from them, and I would keep pressing X, and it was just really frustrating to, like, switch over and, like, hey, this is this game, these are the controls. And I mean, I feel like that's the case with any game that you do. You know, you got to like relearn the buttons.
Well, and that's every time I'm against a bloater. I'm supposed to use to freaking run from the guy, and then all of a sudden I'm smashed because I decided to jump.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I do really like the aspect of like the upgrades for Ellie. She has a lot of really good upgrades, like just to like her combat, her stealth. I don't even remember all the names of the different categories, but there's a lot, and you unlock them as you go. and that's really nice. And then also, you get the same weapon upgrades. You find the workbench, and you're like, yay! It's always a good time, but except for that one, there's that one workbench.
Oh, that's a jump scare.
That's a jump, yes. And
yeah, that was not cool.
I'm not gonna say where, because if there's our listeners, if you're still kind of in those,
I shot that guy so many times. I was so mad. I was like, how dare they do this to me?
it's a good jump scare, so don't be worried about it.
You know me, I'm all about the melee weapons, so being able to upgrade those are bitchin'.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Abby has a way better gun set.
No, don't.
Abby also has such good combat, man-to-man
just
combat.
her default gun. Not saying anything else. Just her default gun is way cooler.
It's true. That is very true.
Is it a block mystery?
When you get into the second half of the game and you're playing as Abby, you're gonna quickly find out that her combat skills and weapons and everything is very different than Ellie's, and it's in a good way. So it's kind of fun to be able to play, not only see those two different girls, their perspectives, but to also just play two different people, because it is very different. But it's good. It's good different. Let's see.
I really like all the letters that you find throughout the game too, because it really gets you into the mindset of just the random people that are being affected too, and you can see Ellie's reaction as you're reading these too, and what she's thinking and kind of developing that as well. And I mean, it's the little things or not even little, but would you actually tell someone if you got bitten, or would you spend the most normal time you can that you have left with them and then have them find you as an infected?
Right. Yeah.
It's crazy. I think you brought up a really good point, Collin. The lore that they scattered throughout the world is purposeful, and it really sets the scene. I found a couple, that were related to each other. A couple that got separated. One went for meds. One had the gun stuff, and they were trying to meet up, but neither of them made it. Stuff like that. And then you also learn a lot about Isaac, who is the king of the WLF, and we don't know much about him yet, but he's a terrible person.
Yeah, all you really know about him at this point in the game is that he used to be just one of the military guys that originally took over Seattle, and Phaedra, the federal something, I don't even know, but kind of like how in the very beginning of the first game, when you're Joel and you wake up and you're in Boston, and how it's kind of controlled by the military people, it's kind of like that in Seattle. So Isaac was one of those people, and he overtook the government basically and created this new faction, the WLF. So it's kind of interesting to you get to kind of see through the series of notes and letters that how he his progression of rebelling and taking over, that revolution, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
You've got the formation of religious cults, right? With when Ellie comes across a bunch of people being sacrificed, because apparently that's just what you do.
Yikes.
It's just insane. And I mean, you see these little letters about the Seraphites and their prophet, and
she will lead the way, and she's the light, and stuff like that.
These people are just completely confused and lost in that.
And this is the separate faction. So you come into Seattle and there's these two separate feuding factions, and you kind of get caught in the crossfire a little bit. But did you guys catch some of the Easter eggs? For example, when you're in Seattle day one and you and Dina are exploring and you go into the bank in one of the safety deposit boxes and you find a ring.
Yeah, I loved that. That was my favorite Easter egg so far.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about, Collin?
I don't think so.
So they find a ring in a safety deposit box and it has like lettering on it, and it's the same ring it's Francis Drake's ring from Uncharted. Yeah.
And then throughout you'll find PlayStation 1s in the ruins of everything.
Mm-hmm.
PlayStation Vita.
Yeah.
And like some games kind of scattered around and stuff. So that's kind of fun.
And I think we have to talk about the aesthetic because
yeah.
it's a gorgeous game.
Mm-hmm.
And like the way that they mix the concrete jungle with like the intercoming forest is just really beautiful the way they do it.
Yeah,
it's true.
Even from the first scene of the game when Joel's back at the Fireflies base, just the instant difference between the game's graphics is just insane.
Mm-hmm.
I watched a side-by-side comparison of some of those scenes because some of them cross over.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy just to see that little difference.
I'm gonna have to look that up because I bet the graphics in this game leave nothing, if not very little, to be desired.
Yeah,
They even make Ellie look less like Ellen Page as she gets older.
She still sounds like Ellen Page.
A little bit.
Her name's still Ellie.
Yeah. Oh man.
That old man's weed farm.
Oh yeah.
Jackson or just outside Jackson.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that was hilarious.
That was great.
That was a good scene.
Into that and you're just like, oh, this is why he was gone all the time.
Yeah.
There's a part where you're swimming through the ocean too. That's really pretty, and the water graphics, which are some of the worst graphics. Like even on some of the most amazingly beautiful games, sometimes the water graphics can be really bad, and they just like repeat patterns instead of putting in the effort to make it look realistic. They did a really good job with it.
Yeah, for sure.
Over to the aquarium.
Yeah.
It's to just in that moment, like I kept getting getting bashed by the water, and I was just like, son of a gun. If only I could think of a logical way not to get bashed by this water. And I was like, duh, I can dive.
Oh, well, and that's the thing too, is in this game, Ellie can swim.
Finally. I was so happy to see she learned how to swim.
Oh my gosh.
Even though like every time they like jump into the water and they have like all their backpack and gear on, and I'm just like, everything is wet. No.
Like now your gun's not gonna fire properly.
Yeah. No kidding.
Guns don't fire underwater.
Harpoons do.
Oh goodness. Oh man, this game, it's so good. Like I want to talk more and more about it, but
don't.
Well, it's
but I won't.
that you just don't want to put the controller down, right?
Mm-mm.
Like, because Marlee told me day 3, I was like, okay, keep going, and I didn't realize I was on day 3 already.
Oh.
And so I just kept going, and I literally played for 7 hours straight. Right? I'm just like hunkering down, going. And then I found out I'm way further than that.
Yeah.
The whole time you're like sitting there and you're like, the things I do for this podcast.
75-80% of the way done.
I know. I should have told you. I should have like been like, you're only about like an hour away from the point where like where we wanted to talk about today. I was like, you're very close, like about an hour maybe.
15 minutes.
Oh,
got 15 minutes. It was great.
Yeah. Well, do you just knowing? Well, real quick. So the first half of the game. Well, I guess were you wanting to do ratings, Steph? Is that what you wanted?
I was going to do thumbs up, thumbs down. Are we going to play the rest?
Yeah, well, because my question was like, what do you guys like? Like, just where, from the first half, like, do you like the game? That's just what I was going to ask.
I love every second of it. Yeah.
I'm enjoying the hell out of it, but I will say I started to lose momentum at the halfway mark. But I continued playing, and I've picked up that momentum tenfold.
What about you, Steph?
I'm enjoying it. I don't do well with jump scares, so I'm always like anticipating jump scares, but it's been good.
I think you scare yourself more that way.
I really do.
What was that, Collin?
So you absolutely hate stalkers then?
Yes.
I don't know if I've gotten to a ton of. I don't. Oh, I have. Yeah,
a little bit. Yeah.
Stalkers. I just kill them. I think I just run up. Like, I'm not good at stealth at all because I don't want to jump scare. So I just run up, and instead of like even shooting them, I just kind of beat them with my hammer or whatever melee weapon I have.
My favorite tactic to take on stalkers is you back yourself into a corner, shoot once to to make noise and attract them, and then have them come to you. And as they start coming, just shotgun, bam, bam, bam.
Oh yeah,
very effective.
I do a mixture of the two of yours. I start and I'm like, okay, we're going to do the corner thing. And then I get impatient and I'm like, okay, I'm just going to run. And then I run and shoot them as I like go past them.
Nice. Very nice. Yeah. I love this game. Like even just like when I got to the first half and like, even though I was really curious, like kind of mad, but also just really curious about what was going to happen as like playing as Abby. I still I'm keeping going. Like I'm in this, like there's no way I'm going to stop. So that was definitely my thinking. And especially because I'm like, okay, who is this Abby girl? Like, why is it so important that we need to see her perspective now?
Mm-hmm.
So it's very intriguing. Like the thing about this game is that even if there are parts of it that you hate, you can still appreciate like how well done it is though. Like you can still like see like what the story, the writers, that's what they're called. The writers were trying to accomplish by doing it this way. So,
and I think too, the writers knew that it's very important for this game to succeed, right? The stories that it's telling are very, very important. And so going in and diving into these things is very crazy. And my child is
hello.
And so when you come and you dive into this story, you realize that the delays that they had throughout production, I'm totally okay with. Like them pushing it back, whatever it was, 6, 7, 8 times, totally fine.
Oh yeah, I think it was well worth the wait.
Yeah, me too.
I have enjoyed it. I'm ready to play more.
So I think that's a thumbs up from each of us, is it?
Thumbs up.
We'll play more.
Yay! I'll play it again. Yeah.
That's okay, buddy.
Oh.
Well, thank you so much, Collin, for being on our podcast today.
Yeah. Thanks, Collin.
Oh, was that a pointer or was that a middle finger?
I think it was a pointer. I don't
know.
We're good. Say goodnight, Jet. No.
Good night,
Daddy. Well, we would love to hear what you guys think about this game so far. Like, even if you're only halfway through the game or you just started or wherever you may be, like we want to hear what you have to say about it. So if you have any feedback, you can email us cutsinsandcupcakes@gmail.com. It's down there.
Find us on our social medias.
Oh yeah, Instagram, Twitter sphere, Facebook,
all the places.
Yeah, all the places.
In the meantime,
grab a friend.
Grab a friend.
Eat some cupcakes. And
Collin, say play some
Games.
games. Yay!
yay!
Guys.
Bye.
Bye.
This has been a Stolendroids Media production.